you'll probably remember the county started a pre-quarantine program where we came and did the inspections, and we were getting ready in case we hit a quarantine that we wouldn't disrupt your shipping. Well, we did all that, and all of a sudden, bingo, in August, 4 moths were found in one trap. Now, to trigger a quarantine for LBAM, you need 2 moths or 1 larvae, or eggs by DNA, but basically 2 moths or 1 larvae. So 4 moths were found in a trap. The quarantine goes out 1.5 miles, and they found them east of Balboa Park. So they declared the quarantine in August 2010. You've heard a lot about that disruption, male disruption. So they came in and did that twist ties. They go to everybody's house and they put them every 10, 13 feet or so. And luckily, they wiped out all the LBAM, and the quarantine was lifted in October 2011 after 3 life cycles. So to lift a quarantine for LBAM, you have to pass 3 life cycles, or if you remember from Steve's talk this morning, 1,206, 3 days times 3. All right, so we also had a quarantine in Oceanside, declared March 3rd, 2013. So we didn't have anything else until then. And bingo, bango, bongo, we had some fine sites in Oceanside that triggered a quarantine. And they also did the twist tie treatments here. We had 11 fine sites. After that was over, we passed our 3rd life cycle, and we were able to lift this quarantine in November of last year, of 2014. It started off as 18 square miles, but we had a few fines, and it actually expanded up to 30 square miles. But unfortunately, it was in a lovely growing area, and we, at that time, had 13 nurseries and 553.5 acres impacted under the quarantine regulations. Dwayne's going to talk to us about our quarantine regulations after me, so. Rancho Santa Fe. So time goes on, and January 2014, we triggered another quarantine of 2 moths in Rancho Santa Fe. This is a whole nother ball game here. So initially it was 25 square miles, 5 nurseries impacted, and 78 acres. Twist tie treatments were started in June. We had 8 fine sites, but as soon as we were done with those treatments, we had more fine sites. CDFA came back, did treatments again in August. That did not work, unfortunately, and we have had fine sites ever since then. We've had 6 expansions of the quarantine since August. So we went from 25 miles all the way up to its current 48 square miles. We have 8 nurseries and 81 acres impacted, but the bad part about the Rancho Santa Fe area is there is a breeding population there, and since November 1st, 2014 through February 2015, we have had 82 fine sites finding 112 moths. So that, unfortunately, is a bad spot for us. And who can blame them? Who wouldn't want to live in Rancho Santa Fe? It's beautiful. It's temperate. They have lots of planting, in many cases overplanting, lots of water. They can afford to water there. So it's in little LBAM heaven over there. Let's see. Vista Oceanside. Just when we got out of the Vista quarantine, the old Oceanside quarantine, right after that in November, right before, we hit 4 LBAMs in one trap, triggering a quarantine in Vista. Right after that, in February, this first one, if I can make the little pointer, this is the original Vista, 4 in one trap. We've never found another LBAM since. That's all we had. And then in February, 2 moths in the same trap triggered another quarantine just a little north of there. in what we call Oceanside, and they merged to form one quarantine, and we had a extra find here recently, which expanded the quarantine out to 26 square miles. So currently there are 29 nurseries with 88 acres impacted in this area. So part of that impaction means that we do a 30-day inspection at that nursery, and we also do trapping. San Diego. All right, here we go again. We had find site. Right after that, you can see one was in December 17th, and another one January 21st. Two moths within 3 miles, within one life cycle, triggered a quarantine. And we have a small quarantine of 14 square miles in the Pacific Beach area here in San Diego County, impacting only one small nursery. Recent find sites. So these are find sites that have one moth only. We hit a second moth within 3 miles within one life cycle, and that will trigger a 1.5 mile quarantine, big circle around the find site. So currently we have found in January 14th around San Diego State, San Marcos, January 21st, Vista, that's kind of southeast of our current Vista quarantine on the 3rd of February, Santee, February 19th, and just last week, Rancho Bernardo. So here's what the map really looks like. So here's a map of the current quarantine areas and the find sites. That's the Rancho Bernardo one. The line right there is Camp Pendleton. So we have a few dates. This date here is the last find site in Rancho Santa Fe. This is San Diego State, or no, Santee, I'm sorry, and then San Diego State's down here. I actually put in a little map that you have in your, I don't know what you'll call it, table that's also in your packet. We had a conference call with CDFA, and they were nice enough to do a really nice map that you have. And one of the things they did is they put the LBAM finds per year. And it's hard to see it on this because I really blew it up, but check it out on your map that you have in your packet. But it shows you kind of what has happened with LBAM over the years. 2010, we had 7 finds. In 2011, we had 3, 12, we had 2, and then 13, 30, 14, 50, and so far in 2015, we've had 40 finds. And basically, that is my presentation. Just want to give you an overview of what the find sites look like, what the quarantine looks like, and I should go back to that. And Steve said it right. It loves this coastal area. Just look at that. It's just following the coast, and if you all remember the old Diaprepes, it seems to be following that same general area. So currently, we have about 80 square miles under quarantine, and we are surveying every 30 days about 165 nursery acres per 30 days. So if you have any questions, if not, I'm going to turn this over to Dwayne. No? All righty.